Due to working from home, here are some tips to help you meet like a pro. Thank you, Zoom.
Some of us are trying to fucking start the podcast. I was literally just opening my mouth to fucking say our intro, and then your stupid ass goes on a fucking tangent about some fucking Zoom bullshit. All right, and welcome everyone to the new episode of Drunken Jurors. We're back on our bullshit. We're gonna finish up this series on Michelle Knotek and her awful mothering skills, and then maybe after this we'll start our own motherhood podcast because three guys definitely know what goes on there.
All about that mansplaining.
I feel like we'd be better at parenting than
That's what we'll call it. We'll just call it mansplaining. Everyone will want to listen to that podcast.
Yeah, that's right. It'll have the same energy as that Burger King tweet.
Well, I'm Jeff, and I'm drinking a cup of coffee that also has a shot of Fireball and 2 shots of rum chata. So, because we're doing this at 9 a.m. on a fucking Saturday.
I'm Adam, and Gustav cannot replace me, but I'm not drinking.
He is an angel, though. He is an angel, though.
No, he's a ghost.
Buddy, you can't even comprehend that he's in the background right now. That's just a ball of white to us.
With a hat. I'm not drinking because I have to leave for work in 2 hours. So,
I'm drinking Evan Williams bottled in bond, 100 proof Kentucky straight bourbon. Straight up the best shit I've ever had, and it cost me less than $20. So I'm still confused when I drink it because I feel like something shouldn't be this good for that cheap.
You've never seen a quarter prostitute.
Is that an option? Is that like a payment plan?
A quarter a day
Keeps the herpes away.
No, it brings them. It brings all the it brings all the herpes to the yard.
Basically, we're just gonna pick up right where we left off. I don't know if you guys remember where we left off, but we got done talking about some of the shit Shelly was doing to her fucking kids, and Shane, aka Dave's nephew, who had moved in with them. We just stopped right where Kathy Loreno is going to be joining the family and living with them. She is the first victim, and we'll get into that. A little bit of a disclaimer here. So if I were to go through like all the stories in this book, we would have like a 7-part series just because of how fucking god-awful Shelly is and the shit she does to everyone in her life. So we're going to skip past a lot of that, but just remember pretty much everything that she did to the kids in the first episode that we talked about doesn't really fucking stop. So it keeps happening, nice. But we're going to skip over some of the stories of that because we ain't got time for that shit.
Have we talked about the first victim before?
No, I think I've just said, I think that's where I left off. I have right before her
Who was
section.
the cousin? What was the cousin's name?
Shane Watson.
Should probably take notes again.
Again, obviously you didn't take notes the first time.
I probably did. It was like 2 weeks ago, so I don't fucking know where I put them.
I'm not taking notes. I'm just gonna fly on the seat of my pants.
Oh, my pants are grounded, so I can't do that.
Your pants are stains, bud.
Says, hey, look, you fly by the seat of your pants too many times, eventually you get watermarks.
I think it's
wild.
I think it's skid marks, but okay.
Yeah, that's not water.
Not when
Nick does it. Not when Nick does it. When Nick does it, it's watermarks.
Not when you have explosive diarrhea.
Yeah, Nick's over here painting watercolors and.
All right, so a little bit about Kathy. Kathy Loreno was Shelly's best friend that ended up coming around the house as a babysitter. She was a big woman. She was 6 feet tall and used to play softball. So you can, I'm just going to let that stereotype fill in the rest of the gaps for you on that. So
yeah, I think it's probably best. That's honestly probably best.
During Christmas of 1988, Shelly announced that she was pregnant with her third child. This would be Tori, who will come into play more later on. She also announced that Kathy would be moving in with them and explained it was because Kathy's family didn't want her and she needed a place to live. Shelly also
How old
told
is Kathy?
she's kind of around the age of Michelle, so like probably like in her 20s to 30s or something like that.
All right.
Yeah, so Shelly also told them that she was moving in as basically a midwife. She was going to help with the baby and the kids, and that she didn't need a job. She could just move in. That she would take care. That Shelly would take care of Kathy, and that she just needed to focus on helping the kids. Kathy will, as we find out, is going to be a great. If you don't understand what Stockholm syndrome is, you're gonna fucking learn real fast.
It's a fun time, really.
So as we're going to get into stories here, Kathy, it's going to seem like at the beginning here, Kathy hates the kids. Kathy doesn't hate the kids. She was never rude to them. She just thought they were bad kids and questioned why they were being so rude to her mother, even though, they're getting beaten. that wonderful fucking time. Sammy
Good
loved
times.
Kathy. She thought she was bossy, but she just thought that that's just the way she is. So she moved upstairs in between, because this is still at the Ladderback house, which is the first house they live in. She moves in upstairs in between Sammy and Nikki's room for now. They like give her furniture and like all that shit. But obviously, as everything goes, as we saw with Shane last episode, that stuff starts to disappear until she has nothing.
Real quick for my own understanding, Sammy is the oldest or middle?
Well, Nikki's the oldest.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
And then Shane is just like a couple months older or younger than Nikki, but him and Nikki are around the same age.
All right.
So I'm gonna get this out of the way too, so we can skip past it. Kathy's like parents or mom, because her dad died, didn't really want anything to do with her at this time in her life. That's why she was capable of just kind of moving in, and like her mom knew where she was living, but they didn't like her mom and her sisters didn't really talk to her. She was just kind of out there. So obviously after she moves in, Tori is born. But on the way to the hospital, Dave was home for this. Shelly told him that he had to drive in a different vehicle behind her and Kathy, that like he was not allowed in the car, that Kathy was taking her. And then there was actually an argument about who got to hold Tori first after she was born. And it was an argument between if Kathy or Dave would. Dave won.
He should have. And if he didn't, that should have been a scorched earth policy.
So now that Tori's born, they bring her back home. This is where more shit gets awful. Shortly after she was brought home, Tori stopped breathing. And then Shelly, like, quote unquote, saved her. What they think happened, because a couple months later, Sammy and Nikki saw it happen. It seems that Shelly continued on with her bullshit of putting a pillow over her kids' faces. And she literally did it to where Tori turned like red and blue and then stopped to where she would start breathing again and being like, oh my God, my daughter, I saved her. They took her to the hospital. They did like everything they're supposed to do and then, gave her back. And then once she returned home, there was a special bed that Tori had to have, and like they gave her a heart monitor. There were times where Shelly would come in to the kids and being like, oh my God, she stopped breathing again, but I saved her. And this is when they saw that she was putting a pillow over her head. And like, because, heart monitors, when you stop breathing, start to, make loud ass noises, aka the whole point of the heart monitor.
Yeah.
And they said they never heard the heart monitor going off. And that's when they went and checked one time, and she was literally over her with a fucking pillow and the heart monitor was turned off. It only took like a couple weeks until Shelly went back to doing her normal bullshit, where she stopped caring for any of the kids and just sat on the couch watching TV all the time. And then Kathy had to start doing everything.
As one does.
So the next birthday that Sammy has after this, Shelly holidays and birthdays were huge. Like they always went over the top and celebrated them no matter what. Shelly got Sammy this like toy or something that was really popular at the time, and Kathy got her this like necklace. And at the end of the party, Shelly asks, "Oh, like, what's your favorite present?" And Sammy goes, "Oh, I really like this necklace from Kathy because she's never had real jewelry before."
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sure that went over just
Oh yeah,
gangbusters.
Shelly basically beat Sammy that entire night, telling her she was an ungrateful bitch, and then took the necklace.
Yep. All right. So I'm getting angry.
I mean, you can intervene whenever, man.
No,
Because
no, because I can't.
I'm trying to like go through stuff quickly, but like
Oh God,
we're probably gonna skip over a lot of stuff.
Fiery hatred, burning, scalding hatred.
That's understandable. So at this point, Shelly also called Laura. If everyone remembers Laura, it's her stepmom. Calls her, telling her that she had cancer, and Laura was like super confused. And then Shelly told her, because Laura was like, "I can come down there and help you," because she runs 3 fucking old people homes. Like she knows how to deal with people with medical issues and stuff. And she's like, no, I have Kathy. And she's like, "Who's Kathy?" She's like, "She's my hairdresser. She lives with us now."
Oh,
As one does.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I know, I get it.
So a couple years go by.
To be fair, my hairdresser also comes to visit my dad at least twice.
Slobs on his knob a
every
lot.
Yeah.
A lot of slobbing on knob there.
Ooh. I don't think I like that. To be completely honest.
I see my hairdresser way more often
Does
than
he
anyone should see their hairdresser.
after his post nut clarity, does he go out and realize that he shouldn't have put like 1800s wagons in your guys' front yard? Or
No,
all right,
Now, is that never a thought process that goes through?
no, he probably wants another one.
he wants to just
As
live in
one
it.
does. As one does.
So after a couple years, Laura fucking confronts Shelly about it because Shelly doesn't look any different. Like she's just continuously had cancer treatments, quote unquote. She calls her and she's super mad because she's like, this is bullshit. Your cancer's fake. Like, you don't have cancer. And she's like, no, I do, blah, blah, blah. They had this big long-winded argument, basically coming down to Lara calling her on her bullshit, saying she doesn't have cancer, and Shelly getting mad and hanging up the phone because Shelly's telling her about her appointments. And she's like, yeah, I go like once a week and it's like an 8-hour thing. And she's like, no cancer treatment lasts 8 hours because if you're in chemo for like more than an hour,
That's
you're
how
going to
you
die.
Yeah. That's called death, actually.
You don't know that. You don't know this until you experience it.
Well,
Nick, you don't have
passed-
cancer, but we are going to be putting you on the chemotherapy as a test.
Well, so here's the thing, though. I did, in fact, pass high school physics, and I know enough to know that that's not how that works.
I also took high school physics, and I don't think anywhere during physics they talk about cancer
Yeah.
treatment and chemo, because
about
I don't
radiation.
think.
Talk about radiation, and they talk about what are you talking about? Talk about
I
radiation.
don't think
When
that
I
or you
yeah,
were confused.
when I took
Would
physics,
that be chemistry? Would that be chemistry?
That would 100% be chemistry or biology before fucking physics.
What the ions?
don't
and
remember
photons and shit.
That's still, I'm pretty sure,
Did you
chemistry. Physics
did
is
you
all about like momentum and gravity and velocity and shit.
Yeah, telling me an ion doesn't have momentum.
I'm not saying it doesn't, but I don't think radiation would have been one of the things covered in high school physics.
Today we're going to talk about gravity. Tomorrow we're talking about chemotherapy. They're like one and the same.
We took
And then the
very
day
different
after, we're going to
physics
talk
classes.
about the migration of the blue whales.
We talked about very different physics classes.
All right, so it ends up coming to the point where Kathy starts taking the brunt of the beatings. Like, the kids talk about this time where like their beatings weren't as often or nearly as bad anymore since Kathy's there. And obviously as kids, you're pretty fucking okay with that, but also you feel horrible because you're watching this fucking woman getting her ass beat. Remember, fucking Kathy is much larger than Shelly, but Shelly has this undesirable rage inside of her to fuck you up when she wants to, which is all the time because you're breathing, and that's unacceptable in her house. There was basically she would do the same thing she did with the kids. Anything within reach, if she was mad at her about something, she would grab it and just beat the fuck out of her with it. Appliance cords, fucking pipe, something, anything in the fucking area, you're getting your ass beat with it. And obviously, so during this time at the beginning, Kathy obviously is like retaliating. Like you're not
Yeah.
thinking yet. Yes, no, we'll get to that. So Shelly's telling her that she's doing things wrong or that she did something that she knows she didn't do. So she's being like, no, I didn't do this. She's arguing, which is just making the beatings worse, obviously. I mean, I guess for people who don't know, because this is kind of a confusing topic, Stockholm syndrome is where someone who is in basically someone else's, like lives with someone else or is under someone else's power for a while, they start to believe everything that that person tells them because they're usually sheltered off from the outside world, and they just feel no matter what happens to them, they always are told and feel actually like whatever's happening to them now, if they go out and tell someone about it or anything else, the outside world is worse than what they're dealing with, is basically what they end up starting to think. Because the best way to put this is actually from the first time that Stockholm syndrome like kind of was talked about and became an actual diagnosis. Was there's a bank robbery in Stockholm, Sweden, back in the 1800s, where it was like
it was like the 1980s.
No, it was. I'm pretty sure it was the 1800s.
1973.
Oh, all right. Well, ignore me. 1973, but it was a botched robbery where the captors and the victims the hostages all got locked in the vault for 6 days, and it got to the point that the hostages actually felt safer with the robbers than they did with the police. They talk about it in interviews afterwards where they say, we actually were fine with them, we didn't feel like they were going to hurt us, but we felt that if the police showed up, we had a higher chance of dying to the police than we did with our captors. And that's basically what Stockholm syndrome is you think that the outside world is more dangerous than the shit you're in right now. Super, usually people have to be drugged and stuff for it to really start and start to really fuck with them. There's one time where Kathy and Shelly were in an actual full-on fist fight outside. This is actually before Shelly gave birth to Tori, so she's still pregnant. And she just was beating the fuck out of Kathy. She was grabbing her hair and just beating the shit out of her. And then next thing you know, she kicked Kathy in her abdomen and it knocked her all the way down the hill. But I'm assuming at this time Kathy didn't really fight back because Shelly's pregnant and you don't want to fucking fuck up the.
Yeah, that's typically a bad idea.
That's what you think.
Oh, is that all? Is that my personal opinion?
There was another time where the kids came down and they were having an argument in the living room. This argument was about, this is Shelly, trying to fuck with her psychologically, and she's telling her, no, you did this, and Kathy's like, no, I didn't. And then the kids noticed that Shelly brought out this entire meringue pie that was missing 2 slices. And she's like, Kathy, you're a fat bitch. You literally hid this under your bed last night. And fucking, she's like, no, I didn't. She's like, I didn't eat that, blah, blah, blah. She's like, it was under your bed. And she's like, I don't remember. And then this is where Shelly convinces her that she sleepwalks. When she doesn't. Shelly just plants stuff and then yells at her. Because after this, she has another fight with her in the living room saying that, Kathy, you need to start taking these pills because you're sleepwalking at night naked into Shane's room because you want to have sex with him. And at this time, Shane's mid-teens. So obviously bad, big no-no. And also Kathy didn't want to do that. But she obviously doesn't remember anything because if she was sleepwalking, you usually don't remember. So this is where she starts convincing her to start taking these pills, which is what they're basically a mixture of muscle relaxers, mood stabilizers and shit like that. She just has this concoction of pills. Oh, sleeping pills, shit like that. Just things to weaken her to get her to be more compliant to what Shelly wants. And it's it's fucking horrible. It's really fucked up, especially with what ends up happening to her. So obviously, after all this, and she starts getting drugged, Shelly starts revoking her privileges. She's not allowed to shower. She only gets to go to the bathroom on command, and they take all of her stuff away. She's now just sleeping on the floor in an empty room.
I mean, she is a hairdresser.
That's another thing Shelly did was obviously because Kathy was a hairdresser, one of her favorite things was her hair. Obviously, she loved she always changed her hairstyles and stuff.
Oh, I feel like
Shelly,
Samson's making a comeback.
yeah, Shelly cut off all of her hair. She literally took her out on the porch, put a bowl on her head, just cut it all off, took the bowl off, and she's like, "There you go. There's your new hairstyle. Go on, live your fucking life."
What a cunt.
I can't wait until we get into when they get caught. It's so satisfying, but it's also it's even more enraging. Nick will get into that part because that's a fun talk about trials and sentencing.
Nick does like sentences.
I do.
Barely.
I do. That's how I talk.
Why?
You don't do it well, but it's like enjoying astrophysics. Like you're not good at it, but there.
Look. I don't know what you
ignore
want.
everything I'm saying.
No. I'm going to actually cut this specific section of audio and boost the gain super high.
Sir, I don't know
Add
what you
some
want from me.
reverb to it and some echo.
Sir, I don't know what you want from me. I'm an asparagus and Venus is in retrograde.
You're right. Woman crashes, fucking T-bones me as I cross an intersection. Oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm a Capri Sun. This said it would happen today.
Oh god.
Shelly started locking Kathy in the closet as a punishment for whatever the fuck she wanted. There was one time she did this, but for some reason Shelly was on the outside just whispering soothing words through the door to Kathy, but refused to let her out. Because why would that make sense?
Yep.
And she told her it's not okay to hurt you, Kathy. I won't let anyone hurt you. I love you and I'll keep you safe. As she just got the shit beat out of her and thrown in the closet like a used pair of work boots and just locked in there.
I feel like she's like, I'm going to protect you. No one else can use you as a punching bag because you're my punching bag. Like,
well, super fun thing is later she starts getting Dave and Shane to beat the shit out of her for her. Because why not? Which is what we're getting into now, is she showed no mercy and enlisted kids to participate in some of the punishments against Kathy. There's times where Nikki and Sammy were made to snap rubber bands at Kathy. Kathy,
it's like she's running it's like a torture settlement run by like a 3-year-old.
This seems like the type of shit that we should invoke at like Guantanamo Bay. Like just this random ass shit. Just have kids run into their cells and just start snapping them with rubber bands.
It's like it's bad, but it's not quite torture. Like
also I was like, we all got snapped by rubber bands when we were in like high school. Like,
dude, I'm pretty sure there was one time when in grade school where I was a fucking idiot and I had a rubber band and I was like, and snapped myself with it like a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
But the reason this sucks so much is because now with all these pills and stuff and Kathy having such a strict regimen of when she's allowed to eat, go to the bathroom, bathe, Shelly's getting weak as shit. She's having trouble standing for long periods of time. She can barely walk up the stairs on her own. And it's getting worse. And she's working literally from like 6 a.m. till like midnight every night. And also getting her ass beat during that time. There was a time where when she was weak and she couldn't get up the stairs fast enough, Shelly yelled, "Get her," and yelled at her. And then Sammy didn't do anything. But Shane knocked her down the stairs and started punching and kicking her because Shelly told him to. Because if he didn't do it, he was made to wallow. Or would there was also this fun thing that she started doing where if he didn't do it, she would make him go naked and duct tape him to the wall.
Her husband?
No, this is Shane, the nephew.
Oh.
No, her husband never got beat or anything. He was so compliant.
I just think he's a dumbass.
So there's another time she was running up the stairs away from Shane, and then Shelly appeared out of nowhere with her arms around Kathy to protect her and making her seem like she was there to save her, and then started yelling at Shane, even though she's the one that told Shane to go beat the shit out of her. But, you know, more psychological fucking warfare, just fucking with your goddamn mind, not knowing what the hell's happening. So yeah, Kathy lost a shit ton of weight. Her skin was bruised and scratched, obviously. Her dental work started to fall out, like her fucking crowns and shit were obviously beaten out of her.
No.
And then yeah, like Shelly, you know, fucked with her hair more. Good stuff. This is all just leading up to this woman's fucking demise, because she is the first victim. It's very depressing. I know we're not talking a lot because it's 9 a.m. and it's sorry, that's on us. But also, there's not a lot of jokes to make here. This is
Really
an extremely horrible thing to happen to a human being. And yes, I know it's kind of scatterbrained and kind of just a lot of random info given to you guys, but I can't just go through and read the book to you. And there's a lot of small details of random things that are going on for everyone right now, like with school and all of them. But I'm just trying to hit on all the things that happened to Kathy and the victims in this episode. What happens to the kids keeps happening. It never stops until they move out, which we'll get into at the end. There was a time where the Knoteks decided to take a vacation to the beach. And of course, they bring Kathy. But there's no room in the car for Kathy. Kathy gets to go to the beach riding in the trunk.
This isn't an SUV or a van, is it?
No. It's she's in the trunk of a fucking car. But I'm not saying this is good, but here's a shitty joke. This was back in like the 80s and early 90s. Trunk space was much more, like much bigger than.
True. You could fit 3 bodies in there.
Oh yeah,
at least.
Yeah, when you first said trunk, I was thinking it was like the Brady Bunch car. I don't know what that car is called, but it's like all trunk.
Oldsmobile,
Sure.
I think.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Oldsmobile fucking station wagon, I think.
Yeah, station wagon. There you go.
I'm gonna actually see if I can find this picture. But they go to the beach and Kathy's out there with them. Kathy looks fucking horrible. She's bruised. She's pale white 'cause she doesn't get to fucking see the sunlight, and she can barely stand, and she's just trying to have a good time. So the next morning, when they got back, by the way, they didn't let her out of the trunk. She had to stay in there overnight, and when they opened it the next morning, she just fucking fell on the ground and couldn't get up.
Excuse? Was this on purpose or did they fucking forget?
No, it was on purpose.
Mind blowing.
So there's another time. By the way, at this point, Kathy only gets to ride in the fucking trunk. Also, she does run away a few times. Just putting that out there. She runs away. Shane also runs away at times too. Shelly will go on week-long manhunts to fucking find you, and she always found them. And
It's like the IRS.
And would somehow convince him to get back. It's awful. I don't know how she did it, but there's multiple times where this happens. There's one time where Shelly told the girls, because at this time Nikki can drive, she tells the girls to go do the laundry at the laundromat, but take Kathy because we can't leave her alone today, and she should, get out and see some sun. She wasn't allowed out of the fucking trunk though. They didn't. She was like, "Don't let her out of the trunk. She'll run away, and you guys won't be able to get her, and then I'll beat the shit out of you if we fucking lose her," type of a thing.
Oh.
So, but Sammy the entire time sat outside by the trunk and tried to talk to Kathy and like described how it was outside and stuff, like trying to be.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, trying to be as sweet as you can as a kid to someone like this without disobeying your mom so you don't get your ass beat. Kind of a little sweet moment, but remember, Sammy's also the one that when Nikki was locked for an entire summer in her room, the one that like she would raise up the like 7 puppies to her, like so she could play with them and stuff.
Didn't she kill a puppy at some point? Am I remembering someone else?
I think that's someone else. So there was a time after this where Shelly was leaving with Nikki to go to the store and left Sammy in charge of Shane. The way she left him was she made him strip naked and duct taped his wrists and ankles and pushed him into the corner by the front door. So she hog-tied him with fucking duct tape, butt naked, and put him in the corner. Shane got out of it and ran, but Shelly ends up finding him and brings him fucking back home again. But when she brings him home, she's super sweet to him, like makes him his favorite meal and everything. And like, she's like, don't ever do that. Like, you scared all of us, blah, blah, blah. You know, more bullshit, more just feeding bullshit to people. And it's fucking, I can't believe she got away with this for as long as she did. But when I finally read like the last like 30 pages of the book, it explains why, because they talk about this is all from the daughters, the three daughters, like from their memories. And then obviously whatever actual testimony and info they have. So they have their reasons and I understand them, but it sucks that this got to go on as long as it did. But also the police kind of don't really help early on, as they normally don't. And then Kathy gets moved down to the basement. She gets to sleep in the furnace room, which is a 5x8 fucking room. And most of that's taken up by the furnace, obviously, as the furnace room would. And
At
she
least
didn't.
it's warm.
She didn't get anything though. She was just sleeping on the concrete floor, no pillow, nothing. Then after this is where the killing finally happens. They all end up moving to a new house, it's a farmhouse. It's a larger house it's on Landing Road in 1992.
Probably further away from people, so no.
It's actually not. They have more neighbors, but it's big enough.
Oh.
You also have to remember this is Washington, so anywhere there's not a house is dense wooded areas.
That's fair.
So they have neighbors, but Shelly actually during the first couple weeks has Sammy and Nikki go around to different points of their property and look at the house to see if anyone can see the house from certain angles, so she knows what angles she can't do things at. And there's not many of those angles.
That's the compliance of everyone, including the kids. Granted, they're kids. Just everyone's just
They're kids and they don't know anything else, though. They've only lived with her. This is just what they think life fucking is.
Oh God.
The property was just shy of 5 acres, and it was mostly fenced in. There was like a chicken coop, a barn, a pole barn, and like an outhouse or something. And then they had a bunch of animals. They had dogs and like chickens and stuff here. So Kathy's job here is mostly cleaning the house and then doing all of the so Dave, at one point when he came home from his week long of work, asked Shelly where fuck Kathy was, and Shelly insisted she was helping her get better. And then he was like, he saw less and less of her throughout the time, and then he was like, all right, where the fuck is Kathy? And Shelly's like, she lives in the pump house now, which is a 5x5 little barn or shed thing, just 5x5.
Oh, that all?
Yep. And she's like, it also protects her from the kids because we don't want her around the kids, blah blah blah. You know, all that.
That's who they need protection from.
Yeah. So yeah, she made her live in the fucking pump house, which is awful. Like even during the summer when it's just hot as shit in there, it didn't fucking matter. She would be in there. Kathy ran away again one time when she opened the pole barn. She ran away. 2 hours later, Shelly brings her back with all new clothes, new stuff, like to live. Says she gets a room in the house. Now, Kathy went back to the goddamn fucking pole barn, and all that shit got like burnt like the next day.
Why? What happened?
They don't know. Shelly was the only one that went and got her. The kids say they have no idea how she got her back or why she bought her the stuff. They were just like, she just came back with all this stuff. Also, Kathy doesn't have clothes, by the way. She is naked 24/7. By the way. Oh, and she's not allowed to bathe, so she's fucking disgusting. And she has open wounds and sores all over her body because she doesn't get first aid or medical treatment.
Or been bathed.
Yeah. There was one night where Shelly went to the store or something, and Shane was talking to Nikki, and he was like, fuck this. I'm letting Kathy out so she can run away. I'm going to help her run away. He goes to the pole barn, opens up the fucking door, and he's like, come on, Kathy, you can go. Shelly's gone. I'll help you. And she just sits there and stares at him for like 10 minutes. They just sitting there staring at each other, and Shane's like, come on, you dumb bitch, like fucking leave, let's go, come on. This is pretty much the end of for Kathy. She doesn't have the strength to stand up or even crawl for that matter, and Shane's not strong enough to run away. One, he can barely run away and get himself out. There's no way he's going to be able to carry a full adult woman and get both of them out. So he just left her there. He just closed the door back up. During this time, Laura ends up coming down for a surprise visit for the new house. She brings her fucking like one of her daughters or something from a different marriage. They come down to confront Shelly about her cancer, and they do. And Shelly just sits in the chair with her back to her, and she goes, I don't feel good, goes to the bathroom, comes back with a handful of her hair. She's like, look, the chemo's making me go bald. And she's like, you've been having chemo for like 4 or 5 years now. Your hair would have been gone a long time ago. So Laura goes into the bathroom, finds scissors that still has pieces of her hair in it, and in the trash can, more of her hair. And she brings it out, and she's like, you're literally lying. And Shelly kicks her out of her house. That's the end of that.
Wild.
This is where, for me, this is the worst thing, because Kathy's going around trying to do her chores. She can barely do them. She can't fuck it. She's literally dying. She's like on her last leg. But Shelly wants to do a new form of torture, because Dave comes home on a Friday after his work, and Shelly walks up to him with a Tupperware full of shit and goes, look what Kathy did. She shit in our Tupperware in our kitchen. And Dave obviously is mad. And he's like, what the fuck? And Shelly's like, we got to punish her, but we need to get her out of her bad habits. We need to do something different, because she's just going along with emotion now. She turns around, stares Dave blankly in the face. And would you like to guess what she tells him to do?
Shit on Kathy? I don't know.
Adam, you got to guess?
I'm thinking piss in her mouth.
Some people pay extra for that.
Yeah, I know what you do in your free time.
No, she turned around, looked him dead in the eyes, and emotionlessly said, waterboard her.
Oh.
I think I was close.
He spent that night going into the barn and building a metal fulcrum made of an old tank from the pole barn, and made a fulcrum, put a board, everything, got it all ready. They brought her out, duct taped her to it, put a rag over her head, fucking waterboarded her for too fucking long. She doesn't die though. Once it's done, they throw her back in the fucking pole barn and leave her there. This bitch just got a fucking war crime done to her for something she didn't do. By the way, if you're wondering, no, she did not shit in the Tupperware. It was dog shit.
Yeah, I could have guessed.
Yeah, it was dog shit. So after one day, they come back out to the pole barn, and Kathy is like visibly shaking and she can't do anything. She's just eyes now. She's just a shell of a person. At this time, David had been building an extension onto the laundry room as a little bedroom. So they set up a bed, a twin size bed, everything. They get her a little TV and everything, and they put her in there. Dave comes home one night while Shelly's leaving, and he goes, hey, where's Kathy? And she's like, oh, she's resting up. She doesn't feel good. And he's like, what's that noise? And she's like, it's just Kathy. She's probably like hitting something in the room or something, or it's her TV. And he's like, all right. So it's July 1994. He goes into the laundry room after being home for a little while, and the kids are gone besides Shane. And he finds Kathy basically seizing, and she's choking on her own vomit. He tries to like roll her on her side and get the vomit out of her mouth, but too little too late. Kathy dies. So Kathy dies. He calls Shelly to come home. Nikki's working a job at a diner or something. Shelly tells Nikki she needs to call off work for the next day and leave work now. Kids come home. They don't let them see her body, obviously, or tell her that she died. Shelly takes the kids because Shane helped Dave try to, with Kathy, but he didn't see her die, so he doesn't know that she died. They take the kids. They stay in a motel for the night. Dave, during this time, takes Kathy's body. They have a fire pit out back. He takes a bunch of sheet metal, a fuck ton of tires that they had on the property, and multiple tens of gallons of diesel fuel, and spends the entire night burning Kathy's body in between sheet metal and tires to try to make it like a home style cremator.
I don't think that's possible.
It worked.
Really?
The police never found any remains of Kathy's body. But Dave does confess when he gets arrested. He tells them what he did. He did this, and then he picked up all the bones and bone fragments. Days after days, he would just continuously go out there and keep looking through and shifting through and put them in a garbage bag. And then
that
when
got
he
up
went
to
back,
at least 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot.
Yeah. And he, on one of his trips back to work, he stopped off like at a dock and just dumped her ashes into the ocean to be washed out to sea. And yeah, they never found anything. And that's how Kathy goes. When the kids come back, well, actually before the kids come back, Shelly is talking to Dave. They come up with a cover story to tell Kathy's family or anyone, if anyone ever comes looking for her. She went off with a trucker named Rocky that she loved, and they now live in Hawaii. That's their cover-up story.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
They had a family meeting about that was what happened. And then after the family meeting, the girls went off. Shelly stayed with Shane because Shane knew that Kathy was dead. He had a pretty good he was there when she was fucking vomiting and dying. Shelly goes up to him and she's like, we know that you know. Don't tell anyone, because if you do, we're going to pin it all on you.
On Shane?
Yeah. That's how
Wild.
she gets Shane to never tell. And yeah, Kathy's family does try to when they hear about this, they're like, this is weird. She wouldn't do that. But also, we don't know her because we cut her out of our lives for so long. Maybe she changed. Also, Shelly being even more fucked up throughout the years up until their capture, she would, at one point, she wrote fake letters from Kathy to her family. She would send them letters saying that, oh, Kathy wrote to me and blah, blah, blah. Basically just fucking gaslighting the fuck out of this family for years. Yeah, it was awful. After a while, Shane disappears. The kids get told that he went on, because he was he dropped out of school basically, because he was a senior or something. He drops out of school and runs away. He goes up to Alaska and becomes a fisherman, which is something he talked about that he wanted to do. So the girls didn't really question it. They're like, oh, good, he finally got away. Just a heads up for everyone. This is the last time we will talk about Shane until the very end of this episode.
Oh, that concerns me.
It should.
That's concerning. Only mildly, though.
So in mid-September 1996, this is 2 years after Kathy's vanished, Shelly tries to become a teacher's aide for mentally ill children. Because why the fuck not? She doesn't get the job, though, if you guys are wondering. I wonder how that worked out. I wonder how they found that out.
Yeah. Almost as if there are tests for this.
And then around this time, Nikki graduates and she wants to leave. She wants to go to college. She wants out.
I have a feeling that Shelly supports her strongly, and I think that she even pays for college.
Fuck no. One, they're broke.
Oh.
They're in massive
well.
debt. Two, no. She does not
No?
want her to be successful or out of her life.
No,
But
she doesn't want her children to have a better life than her.
Nikki's now out of high school. She's like working a job on her own. She's still living with them. She fights back because Shelly starts doing stuff to Tori at this point, and that apparently was finally the last straw for Nikki. And Nikki, at one point, her mom's like chasing after her through the house, and finally she stops and she turns around and she says, "Fuck you, fuck off, get out of my life." And then they fight. Shelly beats the shit out of her still, but yeah, she starts fighting back. But after this, Shelly sends Nikki to go live with Aunt Trish, who I don't know anything else about because they don't talk about it in the book. But she goes and lives with her for a while, which is good. She gets out. She gets a job a ways away, and then yeah. So after Nikki leaves, is when Shelly really starts to do things to Tori.
Nikki did things to Tori?
No, Shelly starts doing stuff to Tori.
Oh.
Shelly starts beating Tori. Like, she blames Tori for her leaving and starts beating her. Sammy's still in the house at this point. Oh, there's a story I fucking missed, and I'm so mad that I didn't get it in about Kathy. There was a time that they could have been caught when they were doing stuff to Kathy. There was a time where, let me get back to where I was so I can find it. There's a time where Kathy is outside working and she's naked, and Shelly's chasing her around the house, and Sammy's getting dropped off by the school bus, and kids get a glimpse of Kathy naked running through, like, around the back of the house, and Sammy starts getting made fun of for this, and they're like, "Your mom's outside naked, so fucking weird, blah blah blah, like, you're fucking weird, whatever." So Sammy tells Shelly about this, and they're like, they saw Kathy naked, like, people know. Shelly spun an entire story, and it fucking worked. She said that she was in the hot tub, and a fuse or the wiring sparked, and she was scared she was going to get electrocuted, so she jumped out and ran, and that she was naked because she was home alone. And she had Sammy invite this kid over that saw Kathy running naked, told this kid that, and then she had that day burnt a hole in the side of the fucking hot tub, so it looked like there was a short circuit in it and would have caught fire. And she told this to the kid, and the kid believed it, and that's how that's the reason it didn't work.
Wow, that's she's a psychopath.
She's fucking insane, dude. All right, and then so Aunt Trish lived up in fucking British Columbia. So Nikki was up in the good old Canada, right? British Columbia is in Canada.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Cool. It is the province, like, right above Washington, right? It's on that side of the.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Cool. Yeah, so she was up there. She ends up coming and moving back down, but she moves in with Laura. She moves in with Laura and lives around where she is, ends up getting her own place after a while. That she kind of hops around for a while during this part of the story, just so I can try to get through it, because it is important, but I don't want to go into all the details. She hops around a little bit. She doesn't go back to living with Shelly, though. She's away, and Shelly never really talks to her, so they're pretty okay. Sammy moves out after she graduates. She calls. She goes and lives with her boyfriend for a little bit, and then she calls Nikki, and she's like, "I don't know what to do." And Nikki goes, "Call Laura. She'll be able to help you get out." She calls Laura. Laura's like, "Yeah, you can come up here." She, like, gets her a job and, like, gets her, like, a place to live and stuff. So she ends up getting up there, and she lives up there too. So now both girls are out. It's just Tori. Things go, wonderfully horrible now. For Tori, at least. So Sammy didn't tell Shelly she was leaving. She kind of just ran away. So Shelly makes Dave travel hours north when he's home to follow the girls and see what they're doing to make sure they don't tell anyone about Kathy being dead. And at one point he confronts Sammy, and he's like talking to her, saying like, she wants you back home, like why did you just leave? She's worried you're gonna tell someone that, like, and Sammy's like, tell her what? Because Sammy was young at this point and doesn't understand, like Nikki and Sammy don't actually know Kathy died.
Oh.
Like they think she died, but they thought they were also told she ran away, and they don't know which one's true, but they're leaning more towards obviously she died. And Dave breaks down and just like talks to Sammy for a while. He breaks down, he starts crying, she starts crying. They're talking about, he's like, I don't know how we're supposed to keep doing this, blah blah blah, but never really actually says anything. Sammy then, but while he's doing this and he doesn't tell her that this happened, Sammy goes, you guys killed Kathy, didn't you? And he goes, Kathy's dead, yes. And he's like, your mom's worried you're gonna tell. And she goes back home and confronts Shelly, and she's like, I'm not gonna tell anyone, but what you did is fucked up. Because we'll get into it later. The reason Sammy doesn't try to help get Shelly arrested is because Sammy doesn't, it's still her mom, and she has the thought process of, I don't want to be the reason that my mom goes to jail. She's like, what she did was horrible and she deserves to go to jail, but I don't want to be the person that puts her there.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. It's not great. During this time, when she comes back, she confronts her. She stays for like a couple days or something, and she goes into Shelly's room while she's gone at one point to search to see if there's anything she can find. At this time, under her bed, Sammy finds the bag of bone fragments of Kathy's. This is before Dave had completely disposed of them. He had disposed of like major bones and stuff that didn't get broken down, but the bone fragments stayed under the bed apparently, but not after this, because he gets rid of them right after this. All right, so next is the quote-unquote Ron the scapegoat. It's what they call him in the book, but his name's Ron. He's a homosexual, like 50-year-old male who basically, I'm going to go through his backstory real quick, and I'm not going to get too far into it.
This is the 90s, right?
Yes, this would be late 90s. It's 99.
All right.
He was married. His brother lives in Michigan. He lives in Washington. He's homosexual. He's married to a guy. They break up. He gets kicked out of his trailer. He needs to pay for his mom's like hospice care type thing when she lives in a trailer, but she needs like round the clock care. He's trying to pay for that. Shelly, at this point, has a new job. She is, what's it called? She works
Chief
at
intake coordinator for Satan.
She works as a part of the office staff at the Olympic Area Agency on Aging, and she was a case aide. So she basically, because she worked with old people like throughout her life, got this job. It's basically, she is one of the like people helping take care or like setting up the cases and getting the care for people. She was horrible at it, obviously, because she doesn't fucking care. But yeah, he was in his mid-50s, and after basically all this shit, Shelly is helping get care for his mother, but she says, Ron, you can come live with us. And Ron does it. And not to get into a bunch of the specific details, what happened to Kathy basically happens to Ron. Like he starts getting fed.
An MO there.
He started getting pills fed to him. He started getting beaten. He was made to do chores. His rights were taken away. He wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom unless it was on command. He wasn't allowed to bathe. It's a repeat. It just keeps happening over and over. This is the new person. Shelly ends up getting coworkers start telling people, like bosses, that like she fucking sucks, she's awful, she's horrible. Complaints start getting called in from clients, but Ron called in and said that she is excellent, everyone's fucking lying, blah blah blah. She does nothing less than she's like she doesn't do anything except to the best of her ability, blah blah blah. And he's like, she helps with my mom so much, around the clock care, all this and that. And that's how she kind of keeps her job for a little bit longer. She ends up getting let go because obviously she fucking sucks at her job, and that was all a lie.
I would have guessed that, judging by the fact that she can't take care of anyone other than herself.
Yeah. At some point, Ron has a friend from because he was in Nam. One of his like buddies comes by and they're like, "You need help. Like, you're looking horrible." He's like, "Oh, I'm getting help from her, blah, blah, blah." And they're like, "No, like, she's fucking killing you." And basically they get into this long fucking argument and nothing gets solved, basically. They just have an argument and then she never speaks to him again for a very long time until it's way too fucking late. So Nikki is now working with Laura at one of the offices or something. She's at Laura's house. She's helping her go through paperwork. She's living with her, and she stops and she goes, "I need to tell you something." And Laura could tell that Nikki had been up all night thinking about this. Nikki starts crying. Laura goes, "What is it?" And like trying to comfort her, and she just looks her in the eyes and go, "Mom and Dad killed Kathy." And this is where everything starts to fucking come out. She tells Laura's like, "You mean like killed, like they murdered her?" Nikki reassures it, tells her a bunch about everything that happened at Louderback and then everything leading up to her death. And Laura's like, we gotta like take this to the police. And that's what they did. They took it to the police. They drove down that day. She faxed them like a statement. She made Nikki write an entire statement and they faxed it and she didn't get a reply. They go down the next day and they're like, "Well, we got to start getting stuff together. Like, we can't just barge in there with no evidence. Like, we got to start putting this all together," which is what they thought. If you're wondering, 2 years go by and nothing fucking happens because they're trying to get, they stop by the house and they like try to like talk to her, but she's either never home, doesn't answer the fucking door, or just like shit comes up. And then it kind of falls on the back burner after a while. So after a while, Nikki and her boyfriend at the time go to the police and she tells them in person, like gives a statement in person, thinking that's going to help. Doesn't.
I feel
really.
like it doesn't. Yep.
There's no police follow up to it. But the reason they also couldn't do it is because only Nikki's the one coming out. There's 3 daughters. They're trying to reach Sammy because Sammy's living with Shelly again for a little bit, and they're trying to reach Sammy, but they can never get it, and Sammy was away again, and they just can't get Sammy to come in and fucking say anything. And then also this is where the whole thing comes in, where Sammy doesn't want to talk to the police because she doesn't want to be the person that puts her fucking mom in jail. During this time, Tori is still living at home. Ron's there now. Ron's, getting his ass beat day in, day out. They made a friend through Ron who was rich as fuck and had this huge ass house. Mac made it a thing that when he dies, the house goes to his dog. And when his dog dies, the house goes to Shelly. If you're wondering,
what?
Mac fucking dies because he was in poor health. He was in poor health and died of natural causes. And then his dog got the estate. And then a couple years later, his dog dies of natural causes. If you guys were wondering, there were air quotes around everything I just said.
Love it.
This is one that never gets proven, though. People say that Shelly poisoned him, but they couldn't check because at the time he died, like he got buried and stuff, and like they couldn't, I think he got cremated, so they couldn't like go back and check because they didn't check for that because he was old and like
he was old. No.
He had health problems, so they didn't like check for it. People think that Shelly killed him, but it's never proven. Ron has a restraining order from his mom that's trying to be served on him at one point. Fucking the best deputy that is in this is the Pacific County Sheriff's Deputy Jim Bergstrom. He's the one that ends up doing most of the stuff. Like the second time they come in, like years later to give a statement, he's the one that takes it, and he's the one that like actually fucking does something with this. But he's trying to serve a goddamn fucking restraining order on Ron. And I want you to know, this is also not a great joke. Well, how I picture Ron, have you guys seen Reno 911?
No.
I think I know what you're talking about, though.
I picture him because the only thing he was allowed to wear were booty shorts and a fucking tank top. I
Well-
picture him as the lead, like the head cop from Reno 911, who is the homosexual one who's like super feminine.
The blondie?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
that
he's
guy.
he's the middle guy. Yeah, I picture Ron like him. So basically, he shows up to fucking serve this damn thing. Sees Ron on the end of the porch, and Ron sees him and just turns and fucking runs. And he runs through the woods, and the cop doesn't even try to fuck it because it's not like technically he's serving a restraining order. He's not technically doing anything illegal. He just started running, and who wants to go running through the hilly woods for a fucking dude who just sprinted away when you're trying to serve him fucking restraining orders? So he starts knocking on the door trying to get like Shelly, but no one answers. 5 minutes after he gets back to the station, Shelly yells, Shelly calls and she's like, "You fucking scared?" Or she tells him, "What do you want?" And he goes, "Hey, I'm just trying to serve these papers on Ron." And she's like, "Well, he's not living with us now. He's living in Tacoma." And he straight up called her back and replied with, "I don't appreciate being lied to." He's like, "I saw him at your place. He literally turned, looked at me for a couple seconds, and then he ran away. I know he was there." And Shelly just hangs up the phone. Then, a little while later, there's a time where Tori and her mom are sitting in the car while Shelly's, going through the mail. She finds his letter. She's like, "Oh, this is weird," and she opens it up and turns white and big-eyed. She got a letter that says, "The gunshots you heard last night were from Kathy. Like the Lord Jesus Christ, she also rose from the dead and is back to revenge you. Ashes to
All right.
ashes." She did her gunshot the night before. But I read the rest of this book, and this never really gets brought up. No one knows who the fuck gave that letter or anything. It's not. No one knows.
No one?
No one knows.
It was the Alamo.
Checkmate, atheists.
Jesus Christ came back and
Checkmate.
At this point, after the whole cop incident, Ron starts getting beaten more. He there's this new punishment because they have a porch that goes down onto the gravel of their driveway. They took out part of the rails, and Ron was forced to jump off over and over into the gravel, and he wasn't allowed to catch himself.
Just a human reaction, to be fair.
Yeah, but if he did, Dave got to fucking kick the shit out of him. And then after they do this for a while, his legs are broken, and he can't
No.
fucking do anything. Dave's not home now. Shelly takes him to Mac's house and says, "Okay, oh, you're gonna be here for a while." So then she tells Tori that he ran away, like everyone else. So Tori knows that he's fucking dead because right before this, Tori got to have a sisters weekend with Sammy and Nikki. She has not seen Nikki in like over 5 years since she left. So they go down and they end up talking about it, like everything that happened. And they tell Tori like she killed Kathy and we think she killed Shane. And Tori's like, "Oh my God, like what the fuck?" She's like, "I can't live there. Like I'm getting beaten." And that is when the fucking switch flips. Because Tori was always the one that nothing ever happened to because she was the youngest. She was the baby. Shelly never did anything. So Nikki didn't know she was getting beaten. This flips the switch for Nikki. She's like, "We're getting you the fuck out." She's like, "You have 4 years till you graduate. We're going to try to find a way to get you out quicker, but you have to go back and you can't tell mom that we all know this stuff." So she goes back with her mom and that night gets beaten. She calls up Sammy. She's like, "I need to get out now. I can't do this." And Sammy goes, "Are you sure? Like, it's 4 more years at the most, but we're trying. We can't just come and get you." She's like, I can't do this. And this is where they end up going to the police. Also, Ron comes back. Shelly tells him about the fucking body. He digs a fucking 4-foot grave in the backyard and buries him.
Dave.
Yeah, Dave. Buries Ron in a 4-foot grave in the backyard. like a couple days before all this starts going down.
That's not deep enough.
It's not. Well, he's planning on burning his body, but he's working.
Oh.
He's like, I'll do it like next weekend. So they go to the police and have them bring in Child Protective Services. They tell them that Tori's being abused. That's their way of getting her out of the house. Police show up, fucking take her away. Shelly's outraged. She's like, everything's breaking down. Police take fucking Tori away. Tori admits to everything. She also, as she's getting brought out by Child Protective Services, she tells Jim, like the deputy, she goes, you need to get a search warrant. I know where things are that prove that she killed people. Because the pole barn now has all of Ron's and all of Kathy's and all of Shane's personal belongings in it. And Tori, being smart but also kind of dumb because you don't want to fuck with evidence, specifically knew that if she got picked up by Child Protective Services, Shelly's going to go and get rid of evidence. She took a large amount from of each person's stuff and hid it in the chicken coop. And she told Jim that in her statement. She's like, go check. If you get a warrant, make sure that you go and check the chicken coop because I put some of their stuff there because I think she's going to try to get rid of evidence. Basically, over the next couple days, they all get together. They start talking to the police, and the police are like, all right, we got enough. At one point, Dave comes down to the station to try to talk to Child Protective Services to, get Tori back. The police are like,
Tori's his daughter, right?
yeah. Tori and Sammy are both his daughter.
Oh,
yeah. The police, when he shows up, and he's like, oh, I want Tori, and they're like, oh, well, we can't give her to you, but hey, would you be willing to do like a consensual interview? And he's like, yeah, I don't see how that could hurt. That's literally what he says. He's like, I don't see how that could be a problem. They roast him for like an hour. He's like crying, and he gets up. He's like, I need to go to the bathroom. And as the deputy's walking to the bathroom, he falls on the ground crying and confesses all of it.
Oh.
And he confesses to killing Shane.
Oh.
Which no one knew about. So they arrest Shelly after this, obviously. Dave says everything. Dave Knotek admitted to a lot of things he'd done, and the murder of Shane Watson, however, was one of the subjects that he never really made its way to a full recorded confession. But when he was going with the sheriff's investigators and the criminologist to the house to show them where he buried Ron, he told them Shane is in the ocean. He later told them that he shot him while trying to fight him for a rifle that Shane had taken because he was going to kill Shelly, and that during the struggle it had gone off and killed him. But the real reason is Shane had photos of Kathy that Shelly had taken right after Kathy died, before her body was burned. So he had he had 3 pictures of Kathy's dead body, bruised, mutilated, and before it went into the fire pit. And he had them, and he told Nikki, I have these, I'm going to take them to the police so all this can end. This was back when they were like early, like when they were still teenagers. Nikki the next morning told Shelly that Shane had them. She called Dave. Dave left work, came home, and had an argument with Shelly about it. She's like, you need to kill him. We need to get rid of him because he's going to tell. And after a couple days, they had Shane locked in the pole barn. Dave went out, unlocked it, opened it up, shot him in the head, and then burnt his body and threw him in the ocean. He did this one all on his own. Yep. So those are the 3 people that they killed. We're going to get into a little bit of the trial here. So in February 2004, 6 months after his arrest, Dave Knotek pled down his first-degree murder charge for killing Shane to a second-degree murder and pleaded guilty to unlawful disposal of human remains and rendering criminal assistance, because they had no proof that he did anything to Kathy or Ron, because there's no bodies. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a body for Ron, but there's no body for Kathy or Shane.
Yeah.
And technically, he didn't actually.
No body, no crime.
He technically didn't participate in the killing of Ron. He died while he was at work. Also, during this plea, he insists that he's not going to assist in Shelley's prosecution, and he doesn't. He gets like 17. He gets 17 years. 10 months after her arrest, Shelley enters in for a Alfred plea of guilty to the charges.
Fuck's an Alfred plea? What?
Well, that's the fun part. And it's shitty that she got this, and I am mad about it. It is
Fuck's
a plea.
Alfred?
The plea allows the defendant to plead guilty yet assert innocence at the same time. It's also a plea that allows the defense and the prosecution to save face and money by avoiding going to trial that would almost surely result in a conviction. The plea probably saved Pacific County a measure of embarrassment also. The media wouldn't rehash the missed warning signs by the police that Shelley and Dave were involved in these nefarious deeds. They couldn't prove that they killed Ron because there's no actual evidence and no one confessed to killing him. Basically, she pled so she didn't have to go to trial. It's a really weird plea. Like, it's really hard to understand. Basically, what happens is she pled because she thought she was going to get 17 years in prison. You want to know the fun part? She goes into the fucking sentencing. The judge is like, ha! 22 years. And she's like, what the fuck? That's 5 more than I pled to. And he's like, that sucks. 22 years.
Fucked.
Yeah, basically, fuck you, bitch. 22 years. And nowadays nowadays she talks about how she was just confused on the Alfred plea and she wouldn't have done it if that. She still does not, to this day, she says she's innocent and that she didn't kill anyone.
There's three corroborating statements to this. What?
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, the Alfred plea doesn't require her to tell the court what she had done. So Dave Knotek was released from prison in 2016. He lives on the Washington coast and has some serious health challenges, but he works at a seafood processing plant now. He says that the remorse that he feels for his role in what happened at the Ladderback and Landing houses hasn't left him, and he knows it never will. Nikki doesn't talk to him, obviously, which is understandable because it's also not her dad. But yeah, she doesn't talk to. I think Sammy or Tori, one of his daughters, does talk to him every once in a while. But he's doing okay. Shelley Knotek will be released from prison next year. Good talk. All right.
Sorry. I was responding to a text.
So
yeah.
I don't know. With Dave, I don't know. I'm like, I have a weird position on Dave because besides Shane, which like his mental state probably Dave's mental state probably wasn't okay. Like I mean,
he is technically a part of the whole like Stockholm syndrome, but he also didn't like try to fight it. He worked such long hours and he was only home on the weekends and he talks about how fucking worn down he was, that it was just him just doing what she said because he just couldn't.
Yeah,
didn't have the energy to fight her on it.
Yes, he was a victim, but he was also a participant. Yeah. So, like,
well, those two aren't mutually exclusive. So, do I feel sympathy for him a little bit? But also, I feel like he should have been charged with first-degree murder and put in jail for life.
Yeah,
like that doesn't excuse. Nothing excuses murder.
For him, I would say like he should be in jail for life with like maybe possibility of parole where Shelley should be in life with.
How long of a sentence did he serve again?
17.
He got Shelley 17.
He should have gotten 25 and
parole.
Possibility of parole after 25.
I mean, technically Shelley should have got technically Shelley should have got 25 without parole.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Washington isn't a DP state, so
yeah, it's not a capital punishment state. Yeah, she lives there. She'll be 68 when she gets out.
So she's still young enough to cause some more bullshit.
She will 100% probably have a parole officer. I doubt they're just gonna let her.
I can't wait to read her book deal.
There's also, I think there's, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that like it's parole. I think she just gets out, but I'm sure they're gonna make something to where she has to see a fucking psychiatrist or counseling or some shit. There's gonna, I'm pretty sure they're gonna do something to make sure that she can't go do this shit again. Fun story. All the daughters, pretty fucking successful.
That's good.
Sammy she's a teacher of some sort. Nikki works in the healthcare field, and I didn't see what Tori's doing now, but they're all successful. From what I read, they're all married. Sammy, I think, has 3 kids of her own. And yeah.
I feel like that's the best part of this story, because that's the best revenge, because Shelly did all this because she didn't want her daughters to be more successful than her and have better things than her. And here they are living much better lives than she could ever dream of.
Yeah, and they're all really close. Like, they talk all the time and stuff. I think they talk to each other like once a week.
Yeah.
There's like an afterthought thing where like they all kind of say their own little piece. It's a good book. If you actually want to go through and read it, it is like 415 pages, but it's definitely worth the read. I did my best trying to get you all the main information, but it's interesting. It's pretty good. It's a fucked up story. It's like, oh my god, I can't wait for our next episode, because it should be a little bit more fun. Because little spoiler, we're going to the fucking Wild West, boys.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
I got to put on my boots and my cowboy hat.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Y'all ready to hear nothing but a shitty Southern drawl?
We're also going back to cannibalism. So.
Oh, hell yeah, brother! Let's get our Donner Party on.
We got a cannibalistic cowboys in the West, boys. That's what we're gonna be going over.
I feel like this is gonna be the next Quentin Tarantino movie.
Look, I haven't started the research for it yet. I haven't read into it yet, because I wanted it to be a surprise. I wanted it to clear my mind of all this fucking horrible shit I've been reading for like a month and a half now, because it's so detailed and fucking awful. Like, just thinking that there was a mother doing this to her kids for 20 plus years, like, holy, and fucking random people she befriended, like, fucking wild. And it's not like it happened long ago. It was like 2002 or 2003 when they got caught. And Ron died literally not that long right before they got caught. I don't know. It's a wild one. You guys got any afterthoughts here?
Fucking bitch.
That's it. She's fucking awful.
That's
you guys. I'm gonna give each of you.
Bitch.
I'm gonna give each of you. We'll say 5 seconds. Just get it out of your system. Call her whatever the fuck you want. If it's too bad, I'll cut it out. But it's gonna stay in the unedited for those people. Yell about her as much as you want. No, I want it to be. I don't want that. I don't want it to be a mashup. All right, Adam, you're gonna go first. Your time starts now.
Ooh, what a cunt.
Wow, I really thought there was gonna be more there. All right, Nick, your time starts now.
Fucking dumb bitch.
All right, this was way lamer than I thought. It's getting cut out because you guys are fucking garbage. All right, well, everyone, I know this was a little scatterbrained, kind of all over the place on this second episode, just trying to get all the info in and get it all done. But we wrapped it up. We did our first multi-parter. I'm proud of us. If you want to follow us on social media, find us at You Hate to See It on social media platforms, specifically on Twitter. We're at YOUH82CIT. And if you would like to help us grow this podcast and get better equipment and stuff, you can go to patreon.com and then type in You Hate to See It. And then up at the upper right-hand corner, there is a Become a Patron feature. And we have $1, $3, $5, $10, and $15 is our new highest, right?
Hold on. You said patreon.com.
Oh, fuck Podbean. God damn it. If you go to podbean.com and type in You Hate to See It, up in the upper right-hand corner, this is Become a Patron. Click on that. We have multiple tiers starting at $1 and going to 15 is the highest now, right? Mm-hmm. Going up to 15. And there's different... We actually redid this recently, so our unedited videos, you can now get at the $3 tier instead of the $5, and we rearranged some stuff. We took some stuff out. So just so you guys can get some better stuff at better. Just we created that when we first started on Podbean. We didn't really know what we wanted at each tier, and we kind of fucked it up. We basically cleaned it up, reorganized it, and made it better for everyone. So, if you wanna give us some money, you can do that. And on that, Nick.
Remember, people, professionals have standards. We don't.
And Shelly Knotek's a fucking cunt.
Yeah, that pretty much. Yeah, that's some stuff.
Adam, your turn.
You're garbage. But you're garbage that we like. You're like Oscar the Grouch kind of garbage. Like, we enjoy you.
You're
and
wholesome.
we appreciate that you're here, but also, you're trash.
All right.
Taught me the alphabet.
All right, thanks everyone.